नमस्कार, आप देख रहे हैं जल शक्ति समाचार। लाल किले की प्राचीर से प्लास्टिक को ना कहने की प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने देशवासियों से अपील की, तो डीडीए ने दिल्ली में हरियाली लाने के लिए वृक्षारोपण पर जोर दिया। और भी होंगी तमाम सारी खबरें जल शक्ति समाचार में, लेकिन पहले नजर सुर्खियों पर। व्यवहार परिवर्तन के एक और आंदोलन की पीएम ने की अपील, सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक से मिले पर्यावरण को मुक्ति। डीडीए ने दिल्ली के स्कूलों के साथ किया एमओयू, हर स्कूल को 500 पेड़ लगाने का दिया लक्ष्य। नेहरू युवा संगठन ने पिंडर घाटी में चलाया स्वच्छता अभियान। स्वच्छ गंगा मिशन को मिली सफलता, नदियों में दिखने लगी डॉल्फिन। तो स्वच्छ भारत अभियान की शानदार कामयाबी के बाद प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने देश को एक और व्यवहार परिवर्तन के आंदोलन के लिए आह्वान किया है। आम आदमी की जिंदगी का हिस्सा बन चुके एक बार इस्तेमाल होने वाले प्लास्टिक को पूरी तरह से नकारने की प्रधानमंत्री ने अपील की है।
15 अगस्त 2014 लाल किले की प्राचीर से प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने देश को खुले में शौच से मुक्त करने का संकल्प लिया था और इस बार लक्ष्य देश को सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक से मुक्त करने का है। प्रधानमंत्री ने बढ़ते प्लास्टिक के दुष्प्रभाव और पर्यावरण संकट को ध्यान में रखते हुए आम जन से एक मुहिम में जुटने का आह्वान किया। इस 2 अक्टूबर को सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक से मुक्ति दिलाने का प्रयास। हम निकल पड़े, टोलियां बनाकर निकल पड़े, स्कूल कॉलेज संस्थानों में जाकर जागरूकता फैलाएं, घर बाहर चौराहों पर गंदी नाली में पड़े सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक को इकट्ठा करें, एक जन जागरण फैलाएं और देश को इससे मुक्ति दिलाएं।
घर में प्लास्टिक हो, सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक, या बाहर चौराहे पर पड़ा हो गंदी ना, सब इकट्ठा करें। नगर पालिकाएं, महानगर पालिकाएं, ग्राम पंचायत सब इसको जमा करने की व्यवस्था करें और हम प्लास्टिक को विदाई देने की दिशा में 2 अक्टूबर को एक पहला मजबूत कदम उठा सकते हैं क्या?
उन्होंने स्टार्टअप्स, उद्यमियों से भी अनुरोध किया कि प्लास्टिक को रिसाइकिल करने की तकनीक तैयार हो। उन्होंने दुकानदारों से आग्रह किया कि आप बोर्ड के माध्यम से लोगों से कहें कि कृपया हमसे प्लास्टिक की थैली की अपेक्षा ना करें, लोगों को जनजागरण का हिस्सा बनाएं। प्लास्टिक की जगह जूट या कपड़े के थैले का इस्तेमाल हो, जिसका सीधा लाभ किसानों को होगा।
जूट के थैले हो, मेरे किसानों को मदद करेगा। कपड़े के थैले हो, मेरे किसान को मदद करेगा। छोटे छोटे काम है, गरीब विधवा माँ जो सिलाई करती होगी उसको मदद करेगा। यानी हमारा एक छोटा सा निर्णय भी सामान्य मानवी के जीवन में किस प्रकार से बदलाव ला सकता है, हम उस दिशा में काम करें।
प्रधानमंत्री के इस आह्वान पर केंद्रीय सूचना एवं प्रसारण और पर्यावरण मंत्री प्रकाश जावड़ेकर ने ट्वीट कर कहा कि हम भारत को एकल उपयोग प्लास्टिक से मुक्त बनाने के लिए मिशन मोड में काम करेंगे। साथ ही इस अभियान से राज्यों को भी जोड़ने का प्रयास करेंगे। चंद्रशेखर की रिपोर्ट, डीडी न्यूज।
पर्यावरण संरक्षण और राजधानी दिल्ली को हरा भरा बनाने के लिए डीडीए ने एक शानदार पहल की शुरुआत की है। केंद्रीय शहरी विकास मंत्री ने दिल्ली के स्कूलों के साथ एक एमओयू साइन किया है। स्कूलों को ये जिम्मेदारी दी गई है कि वो बच्चों के जरिए वृक्षारोपण की मुहिम को आगे बढ़ाएं।
जीवन वहीं बढ़ता है जहां पेड़ होते हैं। महानगर में पर्यावरण संरक्षण और हरियाली लाने की कवायद को आगे बढ़ाते हुए डीडीए ने दिल्ली के स्कूलों के साथ एक एमओयू साइन किया है। एमओयू में सभी स्कूलों को ये दायित्व दिया गया है कि वह बच्चों के जरिए 500 पेड़ लगाएं। ये जिम्मा ऐसे स्कूल को दिया गया है जहां इको क्लब पहले से स्थापित है। ऐसे स्कूलों को डीडीए सालाना 25,000 रुपए ग्रांट के तौर पर देती है। साथ ही पेड़ उगाने का सारा खर्च डीडीए खुद वहन करेगी।
इस वर्ष हमने 200 स्कूल्स को चुना है। ये ऐसे स्कूल हैं जिनमें इको क्लब पहले से ही बने हुए हैं। हर स्कूल को 500 पेड़ लगाने की जिम्मेदारी दी गई है और 6th क्लास में पढ़ने वाले बच्चे ये एक पेड़ लगाएंगे। जो उन्हीं के नाम से, जो बच्चा पेड़ लगाएगा उसी के नाम से वो पेड़ होगा।
वृक्षारोपण की इस मुहिम को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए शहरी विकास मंत्री हरदीप पुरी, दिल्ली के उपराज्यपाल अनिल बैजल और डीडीए के कई पदाधिकारी मौजूद थे। मौके पर बोलते हुए केंद्रीय शहरी विकास मंत्री ने कहा कि देश ने साल 2019 तक ओडीएफ के अपने लक्ष्य को हासिल कर लिया है। देश के लगभग 4,400 शहर में से 4,024 शहर ने खुद को ओडीएफ घोषित कर लिया है।
जो टारगेट मोदी जी ने दिया था कि 15 अगस्त 2014 को ये 2 अक्टूबर 2019 हम ओपन डेफिकेशन फ्री हो जाएंगे।
We are almost on the verge of completing that.
अगर 4,400 शहर हैं, उसमें से 4,024 के करीब ऑलरेडी ODF डिक्लेयर हो चुके हैं।
अब बारी पर्यावरण संरक्षण और जल बचाने की है। जाहिर है जल के संरक्षण और शुद्धिकरण के लिए पेड़ उगाना जरूरी है। इसलिए दिल्ली के स्कूली बच्चों के साथ जुड़कर इस मुहिम को आगे बढ़ाया गया है। 6 से 12 क्लास तक के बच्चे वृक्षारोपण के जरिए इस महायज्ञ में अपना योगदान देंगे। वृक्षों के साथ बच्चों के नाम जुड़ेंगे, साथ ही इस मुहिम को भी नया कारवां मिलेगा। धीरज कुमार की रिपोर्ट, DD न्यूज।
और नेहरू युवा संगठन का एक 26 सदस्यीय दल पिंडर घाटी में स्वच्छता अभियान के लिए उत्तराखंड के बागेश्वर से रवाना हुआ। दल के सदस्यों ने घाटी के गांवों और स्कूलों में स्वच्छता के साथ जागरूकता अभियान भी चलाया। ये अभियान उत्तराखंड समेत कश्मीर, सिक्किम और हिमाचल के हिमालयी क्षेत्रों में चलाया जा रहा है।
IMF के दल ने 408 बैग कूड़े को नगरपालिका बागेश्वर को सौंपा। दल के लीडर पुरमल सिंह धर्मशक्तु ने स्वच्छता अभियान में पिंडर वैली के सभी युवाओं, स्कूली बच्चों और NSS स्वयंसेवियों को शामिल किया। दल ने युवाओं के बीच जागरूकता अभियान चलाया, साथ ही बच्चों को आपदा प्रबंधन की जानकारी भी दी।
हमने कई गांव कवर किए हैं पिंडर वैली में। आगे रास्ता पुल हटा दिया है ये पिंडर नदी से, उससे आगे हम नहीं जा पाए। और टोटल बैग्स हमने 408 बोरे कलेक्ट किए हैं और कुछ दिन हम सूपी साइड भी गए हैं। उसके बाद
दल के सदस्यों ने घाटी में शानदार काम किया। साथ ही स्वच्छता अभियान में जिस तरह ग्रामीण क्षेत्र के लोगों ने भी बढ़ चढ़ करके हिस्सेदारी की, वह भी काफी प्रशंसनीय है। IMF की टीम ने जैविक अजैविक कूड़े को अलग अलग इकट्ठा कर शानदार संदेश दिया है।
ये लोग आज यहाँ पर 2 गाड़ी कूड़ा जो कि प्लास्टिक के रूप में और कांच के रूप में अलग अलग करके लाए हुए हैं। तो इनका यह कार्य बहुत ही सराहनीय कार्य है और एक संदेश है समाज को, इस क्षेत्र को दिया है इन्होंने, जो भी वहाँ पर पर्यटक जाते हैं।
IMF का यह अभियान विगत 3 साल से चल रहा है। इस अभियान ने उच्च हिमालयी क्षेत्रों में कूड़े से होने वाली परेशानियों को काफी कम किया है, साथ ही स्वच्छता के प्रति लोगों को जागरूक भी किया है। राघवेश पांडे की रिपोर्ट, DD न्यूज, बागेश्वर।
और डॉल्फिन को संरक्षित करने के लिए राष्ट्रीय स्वच्छ गंगा मिशन कामयाब होते हुए दिख रहा है। जी हां, पिछले दिनों उत्तर प्रदेश के बहराइच की नहर में एक बहकर डॉल्फिन वहां पर आ गई। गांव वालों ने उसे सुरक्षित मुख्य नदी में पहुंचा दिया। जाहिर सी बात है कि स्वच्छ गंगा मिशन का ये दावा अब सच साबित हुआ है कि नदियों के स्वच्छ होने के बाद भारी संख्या में डॉल्फिन गंगा और उसकी सहायक नदियों में देखी जाने लगी हैं। तो जल संरक्षण को लेकर अगर आपके आसपास भी कोई पहल हो रही है तो आप उसकी वीडियो बनाकर हमारे साथ साझा कर सकते हैं। हम तक आप अपने संदेश भी भेज सकते हैं और DD न्यूज की इस खास मुहिम के साथ फेसबुक पर DD न्यूज लाइव और ट्विटर हैंडल @DD न्यूज लाइव और @DD न्यूज हिंदी के जरिए जुड़ सकते हैं। फिलहाल इस खास बुलेटिन में बस इतना ही। नमस्कार।
A quick look at the day's top news. 100 big stories from across the country and the world in just 30 minutes. Watch Express News Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. only on DD India.
Hello and good morning. It just past 8 this Monday morning and we're back again with all the news on the Breakfast News. I am Nancy Kohli and over the next 1 hour we'll get you news from across the nation, world, sports and business updates in the next 1 hour. Stay with us. Let's begin with the top stories. The restrictions being phased out gradually in Jammu and Kashmir. The primary schools to reopen today in Kashmir. The government says that the efforts are on to restore the landline communication to its full functionality. Heavy rain and landslides disrupt the normal life in many parts of the country, including Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Punjab. At least 24 people killed in Himachal Pradesh during the last 48 hours. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Bhutan redefines the contours of the India-Bhutan ties beyond hydropower, lays the foundation to step up cooperation in new areas like space and education with the neighbouring country. Union Home Minister Amit Shah says that the abolition of triple talaq has given the Muslim women their rights, terming triple talaq as evil practice. The Home Minister says that the politics of appeasement was the reason for the continuation for so many years. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu to hold the talks with Prime Minister of Lithuania to also address the India-Lithuania Business Forum today. Islamic State claims responsibility for the Kabul wedding suicide blast in which at least 63 people were killed and over 180 others injured. India strongly condemns the horrific bombing and calls for the perpetrators of the terror attack to be brought to justice expeditiously. In sports news, in cricket, the second test between England and Australia ended in a draw at the Lords on Sunday. On day 5, Australia survived with 4 wickets in hand to go into the third test at Headingley, leading the series 1-0. Our top story, in Jammu and Kashmir, over 190 primary schools across Kashmir will be reopened today. The Jammu and Kashmir government spokesperson Rohit Kansal expressed hope to restore full functionality to the government offices, and as the days progress, the government will move forward for other areas such as developmental works as well.
We have a plan of reopening over 190 primary schools in Srinagar district alone. We hope to restore full functionality to government offices, and as the days progress, we will move forward on other areas such as starting developmental infrastructural works and other things.
And the situation has remained peaceful across the state on Sunday. Restrictions have also been relaxed in 35 police station areas of Kashmir, while 17 telephone exchanges out of 96 have also been made functional. More than 50,000 landline phones have been operational now. The services will be restored in other areas in a calibrated manner. Briefing the media in Srinagar on Sunday, the Jammu and Kashmir government spokesperson Rohit Kansal said that the government will try to restore the landline communication services as soon as possible in the valley.
We will endeavour that landline communication is restored to its full functionality as quickly as possible, subject of course to the physical limitations that BSNL is facing and any technical constraints that it may face.
The first batch of 300 Hajj pilgrims arrived in 2 flights on Sunday at Srinagar International Airport after completing their pilgrimage. The pilgrims were received at the airport by the advisor to the J&K Governor Farooq Khan, who was accompanied by Divisional Commissioner Kashmir Basir Khan, Inspector General of Police Kashmir SP Pani and other concerned officials. The Hajis expressed their satisfaction over the elaborate arrangements put in place by the government to ensure that they could perform their religious duties without facing any hassle. The advisor also took stock of the arrangements put in place for the arrival of the Hajis so that they could reach their destinations without any inconvenience. And let's now go across to our correspondent Rama Tyagi, who's joining us from Srinagar this morning. Rama, good morning. Now over 190 primary schools in Kashmir will be reopened today. We understand that, of course, security must be very tight and all the arrangements must be in place to ensure that that takes place very smoothly. The situation by and large has been peaceful across the state.
Yes, Nancy, the situation is improving day by day, and today in Srinagar only over 190 schools are reopened, and people are happy over this decision, and they are saying that education is the essential part of life, and now they are that was the main concern of the common man, and now they are relieved that schools are opening up, and security is a concern, but according to state administration there are proper arrangement of security, because they got information from some traders and traders association that there are some hooligans who are stopping them to open up their shops, and they are threatening them. So administration is taking all efforts, taking all steps to make them satisfied, and to make them secured also, and to provide them a secured atmosphere. And as you know that from yesterday Hajis are coming back, and proper arrangements were put in to facilitate them, and administration is himself reviewing the situation. So we can say that by and large situation is peaceful and improving.
Yes, absolutely, Rama, and you know, in fact, it's almost past 8 now. Excuse me. Have you seen this morning, you know, students actually going to the schools, you know, across the region now that they have been opened, the 190 primary schools that have been reopened, and like the government spokesperson, Mr. Rohit Kansal, has also been ensuring that, you know, more development works and more you know, efforts and measures will be put in place to make sure that the situation and the life is normalized as soon as possible after, of course, the revocation of the Article 370 there in the state. That assurance has been coming by you know, by the administration time and again. Are you seeing the movement of students and people living a normal life there, you know, especially after this big step taken there, of course, of the schools reopening today?
Yeah, the morning timing, what we got from administration, the morning timing is after 8 o'clock. So we'll also take review of that how students are coming and how they're going and what is the atmosphere. But yesterday when we talked to some parents, when we talked to some students, they were very happy at this decision, and they were saying that this is a good decision, and the way government is doing this phase wise, that is very significant.
Right.
They are opening up primary school, and after that they will take review of situation, and then they will go for other institutions. So people are welcoming these steps, and they are happy that at least the schools are opening today.
All right, so measures being taken there in a calibrated manner. Thanks Rama very much for joining us and sharing all those inputs. And moving on now to news from the weather front, where heavy rains have lashed northern parts, leaving over 24 people dead and missing several others in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Punjab on Sunday. Heavy rains have remained unabated in Himachal Pradesh, leaving at least 24 people dead and 9 others injured in the rain-related incidents in the state. And due to heavy rains, district officials in the state have ordered the closure of all the educational institutions in Shimla and Kullu today. The gates of the Pando and the Natpa Jhakri dams in Himachal Pradesh are being opened as the water level in the Beas and Satluj river is very high. People have also been requested to stay away from the rivers, rivulets and streams to avoid any untoward incident. In Uttarakhand, at least 8 people have been killed and 10 others were missing in the flash floods following the cloudburst in the Mori block in Uttarkashi on Saturday night. Dozens of houses were damaged due to cloudburst. Water, electricity and communication facilities have been badly hit. The NDRF, the SDRF, the ITBP and the district administration are all engaged in the rescue operations. Meanwhile, schools are closed in the 12 districts of the state following the weather alert. The Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat has directed all the district magistrates to stay alert in view of the heavy rain prediction in the coming days. And with the incessant rainfall continuing in the Himalayan range, the brunt of increased water level is laid on the plains. The water levels have been rising in Yamuna and Ganga rivers in Prayagraj. Various other districts in the state are also suffering from increased water level. Heavy rains have remained unabated in Haryana and Punjab on Sunday, causing floods in some parts, while the authorities sounded a high alert in the 2 states. Floods were also reported from areas like Roopnagar, Fatehgarh Sahib and Pathankot in Punjab. And let's now go across to our correspondent Usha Pawar, who's joining us from Jalandhar this morning. Usha, good morning. We're seeing, of course, the heavy rains throwing normal life out of gear in northern India. What's the situation like this morning in Punjab and the prediction for the day up ahead?
Yes, Nancy, if I put it like this, that in most parts of the state it is still raining. In Jalandhar also it's raining heavily, which is really concern for the people over here. If we talk about the rains in other regions also, in Himachal Pradesh, Haryana and Punjab, all these three states, heavy rains have been there for the last 3 days, and alert has been sounded, and the Satluj River and Byas and Ravi rivers, they are in spate, and particularly the Satluj River. The Satluj River passes through Nawashahar, Jalandhar, Moga, Ropar and Firozpur districts, and in all these districts, the areas along the river, they've been inundated, and apart from that, the tributaries of Satluj River and other nalas, they are also inundated, and the water has entered in the villages, and in some villages we found around 5 to 8 feet of water in the villages, which has played havoc for the standing crops and for the people as well. In all these 5 worst affected districts, the district administrations, they had asked people to vacate the low-lying areas along the river, and the villages were vacated. And in Jalandhar, if we talk about Jalandhar, there were about 30 relief camps which were set up by the district administration, where food and fodder for the cattle and medical facilities are being provided. The worst affected is Ropar district, which is, we can say that 30 to 40% of the area of this district there. They are under the flood-like situation, where the Chief Minister is expected to come for to oversee the relief and rescue operation in Jalandhar also. The Deputy Commissioner yesterday, he visited various areas of this district along the river Satluj, and he announced that the NDRF and SDRF and Army also, they have been put on alert, and they may need the help of these forces to tackle the situation in Jalandhar district.
Sure. Okay. All right, Usha, thanks for those inputs. Request you to please continue being with us. Let's also now go across to our correspondent Aditya, who's joining us from Bhopal this morning. Aditya, what's it like there in Madhya Pradesh? Relentless rains continuing to wreak havoc and causing widespread damage there in northern India. What's the prediction like for today?
Yes, Nancy, we can say a flood condition in MP is now under control, except 5 to 8 villages of Chambal region. Chambal River crossed a danger point, so the people who are living near Chambal River, they are suffering that condition. But if we talk about the Narmada River or Betwa River, the both rivers are flowing across the danger point. Road connectivity was affected yesterday due to this reason. Administration of MP also monitor all the situation. Yesterday, NDRF or SDRF team also rescued one villager near the Chambal River. But we can say Met Department officials also said there will be same condition continue in Malwa or Chambal region. And if we talk about the Bhopal, 2 gates of Kaliaswat Dam was opened yesterday due to the overflow of water.
All right, Aditya, thanks for those inputs. Let's also now go across to our correspondent Nandini Mittal, who's joining us from Shimla this morning. Nandini, Himachal Pradesh is the worst hit in these floods that have been wreaking havoc and causing widespread damage. At least 24 people have lost their lives in the past 36 hours, and heavy rains have thrown normal life out of gear completely. Roads have been blocked, hundreds have been stranded. In fact, you know, there's a lot of suffering that's really taking place across the state. Just give us a sense of the damage you're seeing around you and the rescue relief operation that must be underway on a war footing.
Nancy, around, according to the government, the 1,000 crore rupees loss has been suffered during last 36 hours. Now today, the weather is clear. Though the weather is cloudy in some places, but at most of the places the weather is clear. So the rescue operation will continue today, and government will try to open the roads, particularly national highways like Chandigarh-Manali National Highway and Shimla the Kinnaur National Highway, plus the highway which is leading from Pathankot to Chamba. More than say the 700 roads are closed. So the most preference of the government will be to open these roads. Moreover, this is apple season, so the apple crop is going to various markets throughout India. As they are suffering, the government will try to open the link roads also, so that the apple crop reaches the market.
Okay. All right, Nandini, thanks for those inputs. Well, we're just hoping that the situation just gets better there, of course, in the northern India, Himachal Pradesh being the worst hit. Well, thanks to Nandini and Aditya and also Usha Pawar, who joined us all and having shared all those inputs. Thanks very much. Moving on now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi concluded his two-day state visit to Bhutan, during which he held talks with the country's leaders to further deepen the bilateral ties. The two countries inked 10 MOUs in the field of space, research, aviation, IT, power and education to infuse new energy in their ties. Prime Minister Modi's Bhutan visit was a packed, productive and futuristic one. Prime Minister Modi had about 13 programs in his 27 hours that he was in Bhutan. In a special gesture, the Bhutanese Prime Minister Lotse Tshering himself received as well as seen off Prime Minister Modi at the airport. The Prime Minister's visit began with a grand welcome on the streets from Paro to Thimphu, where people from all walks of life of Bhutanese society, especially children, were out on the roads to catch a glimpse of Prime Minister Modi. The 45-kilometer-long journey was virtually filled with people. Earlier, discourse around India-Bhutan friendship revolved mostly around the hydropower. Prime Minister Modi has added the dimension of people power by ensuring big outcomes in education, innovation and space. The MOUs, the inauguration of the ground space station reflect Prime Minister Modi's emphasis on making this partnership about the sectors that impact the common citizen more directly. Prime Minister Modi had an audience with His Majesty the King of Bhutan, where the Queen also joined the meeting. He met the fourth King of Bhutan, Jigme Singye Wangchuk, who came especially from the overseas so that he could meet with the Prime Minister. There were detailed talks with the Bhutanese Prime Minister and a call on by the leader of the opposition as well. Two elaborate banquets were also held in the honor of Prime Minister Modi. On the 17th, a cultural program highlighted the histories of India, Bhutan and even a performance on the life of Prime Minister Modi from childhood to the transformative work done in the last 5 years. Later, Prime Minister Modi's visit to Semthoka Zong, an important spiritual and cultural landmark in Bhutan, was not an ordinary visit. Usually, the joint press meeting that leaders have is held in the same venue as the place where delegation talks are held, but the joint press meeting between Prime Minister Modi and the Bhutanese Prime Minister was held at the Semthoka Zong. This is the first time ever in the hundreds of years of history of the Semthoka Zong that such a program has taken place. It is also believed in Bhutan that such an honor will not be accorded to any other leader at all. After the programs at the Semthoka Zong ended, a group of monks were waiting to greet Prime Minister Modi, but instead of the formal greeting, the Prime Minister decided to walk with them and talk to them. He also told the Bhutanese Prime Minister that he likes being in the places associated with spirituality while the two leaders were walking. The Prime Minister's speech at the Royal University of Bhutan was admired widely by the students. The children referred to Prime Minister Modi's book, The Exam Warriors, and how they were inspired by it. Apart from formal engagements, it is to be noted that the episode of Man vs. Wild featuring Prime Minister Modi and Bear Grylls is a hit in Bhutan. People including on the top positions in Bhutanese politics, business and judiciary were heard complimenting Prime Minister Modi on the show. They liked the fact that the show was refreshing and gave out a positive message on climate change. Bureau Report, DD News. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the politics of appeasement that led to the partition was the reason for the continuation of the evil practice of triple talaq for so long. Speaking at an event in New Delhi on Sunday, the Home Minister defended the law criminalizing triple talaq, asserting that it establishes gender equality.
ट्रिपल तलाक कानून का कई राजनीतिक दलों ने संसद के फ्लोर पर विरोध किया है, मगर मैं मानता हूं कि वो भी अपने मन के अंदर जानते हैं कि कुप्रथा है, इसको जितनी जल्द हटानी चाहिए हटा देनी चाहिए, मगर उनमें वो साहस नहीं। और इसी का कारण था कि ये कुप्रथा इतने सालों तक चली। ट्रिपल तलाक की कुप्रथा को, इस सामाजिक दूषण को, करोड़ों माताओं बहनों को अन्याय करने वाले इस रिवाज को हटाने के लिए इतना विरोध, इतना आंदोलन क्यों हुए? उसके पीछे एक तुष्टीकरण का भाव और तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति जिम्मेदार है।
Sending a stern message to Pakistan, the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has clarified that talks with Pakistan is only possible when Islamabad stops sponsoring terrorism. During the Jan Ashirwad Yatra in Haryana on Sunday, the Defence Minister also said that India will only hold talks on the POK with Pakistan.
कहते हैं पाकिस्तान के लोग, भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच बात होनी चाहिए। किस बात पर बात होनी चाहिए? कौन सा मुद्दा है जिस पर बात होनी चाहिए? क्यों बात होनी चाहिए? बात यदि पाकिस्तान के साथ होगी तभी होगी, जबकि जो आतंकवाद को संरक्षण देने का काम, पैदा करने का काम पाकिस्तान अपनी धरती पर कर रहा है, जब तक उस आतंकवाद को समाप्त नहीं करता है तो पाकिस्तान से बातचीत करने का कोई कारण नहीं है मेरे बहनों भाई। और आगे भी जो बातचीत होगी, किस मुद्दे पर बातचीत होगी? अरे बात होगी अब तो पाक अधिकृत कश्मीर पर बात होगी बहनों भाइयों, और किसी मुद्दे पर बात नहीं होगी।
And lauding the government's decision of scrapping Article 370, he said that the BJP government takes decision in the interest of the nation and not of the party.
लोग कहते थे कि धारा 370 को यदि जिस समय टच करने की कोशिश करेंगे, छूने की कोशिश करेंगे, देश बच जाएगा। और लोग कहते थे कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी फिर सत्ता में नहीं आ पाएगी। मैं दो टूक शब्दों में कहना चाहता हूं, भारतीय जनता पार्टी मेरे बहनों भाइयों केवल सरकार बनाने के लिए राजनीति नहीं करती है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी राजनीति करती है तो देश बनाने के लिए राजनीति करती है, केवल सरकार बनाने के लिए हम राजनीति नहीं करते।
The health condition of former Union Minister Arun Jaitley continues to be critical but remains stable. Arun Jaitley is admitted in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, the AIIMS in New Delhi, since the 9th of this month after he complained of breathlessness and restlessness. Several union ministers including Rajnath Singh, Dr. Harshvardhan, Smriti Irani and Dr. Jitendra Singh visited the AIIMS on Sunday to inquire about the health condition of the former finance minister Arun Jaitley. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu will hold talks with the Prime Minister of Lithuania today. The Vice President, who is on a three-nation visit to Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia, will also address the India-Lithuania Business Forum today. The Vice President on Sunday addressed the Indian community in Lithuania. And addressing the gathering, the Vice President said that the Indian community in Lithuania has served as a bridge in strengthening economic and cultural relations between the two countries.
India and Lithuania have long-standing and close bilateral ties since the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1992. Both countries share a common and abiding commitment for democracy, rule of law, and respect for human rights. India and Lithuania have been supporting each other in the multilateral forums where our commonality interest is evident. The President has promised that to support India's case in the United Nations Security Council and also in the other international fora. They have been supporting, they assured further support also.
And news now from around the world. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for a suicide attack on a wedding in Kabul which killed at least 63 people. The ISIS in a statement said that one of its fighters blew himself up at a large gathering in Kabul while others detonated a parked explosive-laden vehicle when security forces arrived. The authorities said that the blast that took place in the city's west came as Washington and the Taliban are in the final stages of a deal to reduce the US military presence in Afghanistan. And India on Sunday strongly condemned the horrific bombing at a wedding hall in Kabul in which over 60 people were killed. In a statement, the External Affairs Ministry said that the perpetrators of the heinous terror attack as well as those providing shelter to the terrorists must be brought to justice expeditiously. The External Affairs Ministry in a statement said that India strongly condemns the horrific bombing in Kabul on Saturday at a wedding hall in which innocent lives were lost. Moving on now, US President Donald Trump has hailed the progress in the negotiations on the Afghanistan peace deal, saying that the talks with both the Taliban and the Afghan government are going well. Talking to the media in New Jersey, Donald Trump said that the US would seek to get troop levels below 13,000 but leave very significant intelligence capabilities behind. Expectations are rising for a deal in which the US would start withdrawing its soldiers from Afghanistan after nearly 2 decades of war that has ground into a stalemate. Now, Brexit Secretary Stephen Buckley signed a commencement order that will bring the UK out of the European Union on 31st of October in a landmark do-or-die pledge. Buckley later tweeted that he had signed a piece of legislation which set in stone the repeal of the 1972 European Communities Act, the laws which made Britain a member of the organization now known as the European Union. Though his move was largely procedural, in line with the previously approved laws, Buckley said in a statement, I quote, "This is a clear signal to the people of this country that there is no turning back from Brexit." The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson also tweeted the image saying, I quote again, "The signing of this document means we will take back control of our laws on the Brexit day," unquote. Now, the repeal of the ECA will take effect when Britain formally leaves European Union on 31st of October, a historic step in returning lawmaking powers from Brussels to the UK. Hundreds of thousands of the anti-government protesters returned to the streets of Hong Kong and rallied peacefully. Making the calmest weekend protest, the protesters defied torrential rains and the police banned menacing threats from the Chinese government to come back out for the 11th consecutive weekend of the mass demonstrations. The demonstrators later moved towards the city's financial center, chanting for the Beijing-backed leader Carrie Lam to step down. Around 4,000 people were evacuated in Spain's Gran Canaria island due to wildfires that for the second time in a week ravaged the countryside. The fire had taken 2 different directions, burning more than 1,700 hectares of field. More than 9 helicopters and 2 planes are aiding at least 600 people, including firefighters and the army emergency personnel who are working in shifts to tackle the blaze. The island is experiencing temperatures close to 40 degrees Celsius with the humidity levels below 30%. An Alaska man's hunt for firewood ended with the discovery of a different kind after he came across a 50-year-old message in a bottle. The letter in the bottle was washed up on the shores of the western Alaska and was written by a Russian Navy soldier while he was aboard a ship until 1970. In some more news now, Iceland unveiled a plaque to its Öxull ice sheet, which is the Icelandic glacier to lose its status as glacier due to climate change. A ceremony to unveil the plaque was attended by scientists and the locals at the glacier in the west central Iceland, which in 2014 no longer fulfilled the criteria to be classified as a glacier after melting throughout the 20th century. And with that, it's time now to get you all the news from the world of finance. Let's go across to my colleague Anchal for that.
Well, thank you very much, Nancy. And today, the first trading day session, that's Monday. Let's have a look at those news which are making headlines in the world of business. And we are going to start with the news from Finance Ministry. Finance Ministry has asked insurance companies to expedite the claim settlement process for policyholders affected by floods in different states, including Karnataka, Maharashtra and Kerala. The ministry has asked the insurers to clear claims under various policies, including Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana quickly. IRDA, in a communication to life insurers, said that as a result of the heavy rains and floods, there are reports of loss of human lives and loss of belongings in many states of Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra and Gujarat. The insurers were also told to ensure that all claims are surveyed immediately and claim payments are disbursed at earliest. They have also been asked to engage adequate number of surveyors in the affected areas. Now, news from the bank SBI to help the auto sector tide over stress. The country's largest lender, State Bank of India, SBI, has extended the credit period of automobile dealers that are facing demand slowdown and inventory buildup. Normally, the credit period is of 60 days, but the bank has extended the same to 75 days and in some cases to 90 days. As per Society of Indian Automobiles Manufacturers, that is SIAM, figures vehicle wholesale across all categories declined by 12.35%. However, passenger vehicles segment has been the worst hit, with sales continuing to decline for almost a year now. And that's all we have in this edition of Finance World. Back to Nancy for more other news updates.
Thanks, Anchal, for that. Let's now, in fact, move on to some sports news. And in cricket, the second test between England and Australia ended in a draw at the Lords on Sunday. And a dramatic day of cricket came to an end with Travis Head and Pat Cummins holding on for Australia on day 5 of the second. Australia survived with 4 wickets in hand to go into the third test at Headingley, leading the series 1-0. For England, Archer and Leach were brilliant. This is the first draw at the Lords since June 2016. Earlier on, England declared their innings on 258 for 5 after Ben Stokes slammed his 7th test ton. For Australia, the target was 267 in the remaining 48 overs. Stokes and Joss Butler put up an unbeaten 61-run stand in the morning session to help England take lunch on day 5 with the score on 157 for 4. After declaring the innings on 258 for 5, the Three Lions came out all guns blazing to put Australia under immense pressure. However, they somehow managed to survive and take their lead into the next match. And Indian sprinters Hima Das and Mohammad Anas won a gold each in the women's and the men's 300-meter races in Czech Republic. This was Hima's 6th gold in European races since 2nd July. Her last win was on 20th July when she clinched a gold in her pet 400-meter event in Czech Republic. Mohammad Anas, on the other hand, won the men's 300-meter race in 32.4 seconds.
Lane number 2, Iranian जो धावक थे शायद उनको कुछ.
And with that, let's now move on to our next segment, the Morning Print, where we get you what the national dailies are carrying this morning. We're beginning first with the news from the Times of India, where, of course, the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has said that any talks with Pakistan will now be only on the POK. And this is, in fact, being seen as a further hardening of relations with Pakistan. The Defence Minister has clarified that the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir as the single issue on which any dialogue could be held with the neighbouring country. He's, in fact, being quoted as saying, now, if the talks are held, they will only be held on the issue of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and there will be no talks on any other issue. In fact, he's also said that there have been suggestions that India and Pakistan should talk, but the latter will have to stop the precondition of stopping support to terror. He's also, in fact, said, what do they have to talk about? What is the topic? Why should there be talks even? There will be a dialogue with Pakistan only after it ends the support for terror. If Pakistan does not do that, there is no reason for holding the talks whatsoever. So once again, making India stand very clear that talks and terror cannot go together, coming in by the Defence Minister of the country. Moving on now to Hindustan Times, and this is again a big news that's coming on the weather front, where of course rains and floods have wreaked havoc in the northern parts of the country. 30 killed, dozens missing as the rains lash North India. While this image says everything that's been happening, the extent of damage that's taking place there, especially in Uttarakhand and Himachal, which are the worst hit, and in fact also say that more rains are expected in the national capital Delhi as well, where of course at least 30 people have died and dozens are reported missing or feared dead as relentless rains hammer North India, causing widespread flooding, landslides, damage to roads and buildings, even as flood alerts were sounded in Delhi, Haryana, Punjab and Uttar Pradesh as the rivers, including the Yamuna, has swollen to dangerous levels. The majority of the damage has been reported from the two worst hit states, and those are Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, as heavy rains remained unabated through the Himalayan belt. Hundreds were stranded after incessant rainfall triggered landslides, snapped road links, led to the shutting down of hydropower projects and release of excess water from dams in the region. And moving on now to some other news, and this is in fact some news of respite as far as the air quality is concerned. It says after more than 2 years, city has 2 consecutive good air days. The incessant rain over the past 48 hours has brought good news to Delhiites. The capital's air quality index was recorded at 49 on 2 consecutive days of the weekend. That is the first time in over 2 years that the city's air was classified as good. In fact, an AQI, the air quality index between 0 and 50 is termed good, which is so rare in the capital that such a day was last recorded in 2017. Then too, Delhi had 2 straight good air days on 30th and 31st July, but not a single day in 2018 could make that cut. Okay, moving on now to some other news, and this is once again coming from Hindustan Times, and this in fact talks about how the government is exploring new ways to curb the farm water use, and this is about the crisis management. It says that of course the central government is set to unveil a series of measures to reduce water consumption in India's agriculture sector. That is in fact which uses a high amount of 89% of the country's entire groundwater, and the new steps will also try to ensure more sustainable methods of cultivation, as large parts of the country routinely face water crisis amid alarming levels of the groundwater depletion. Remember, Prime Minister Modi has time and again emphasized on the cause that all of us must undertake, and that is the cause of water conservation. And in fact, this further talks about how the proposals might also include making drip irrigation a must for sugarcane. That's a major water guzzling crop, along with paddy as well. And towards the end, a news from the Pioneer, which talks about how now an eye in the sky to curb e-way rash driving and also accidents. Drones may soon be deployed to keep an eye on the menace of rash driving, lane change, overspeeding and other traffic violations, particularly on the expressways, to minimize accidents. The autopilot drones launched with geographic positioning system, the GPS, and a powerful camera can provide real-time pictures for better surveillance. The Road Transport Ministry may use this technology first on the Delhi-Meerut Expressway and then the Delhi-Vadodara Expressway on a prototype basis. Now, if this experiment turns out to be successful, drones will also be deployed for traffic supervision on other important national highways to enforce road discipline. Remember, of course, the government and the Road Transport Highways Ministry in particular have been emphasizing on the road safety measures, and many measures have also been introduced in the past 5 years as far as road safety is concerned. With that, it's a wrap on the morning print for now, but let's now move on to our next segment, the history of the day, to in fact find out the importance of this day in history.
On this day in 1907, Hazari Prasad Dwivedi, a Hindi novelist, literarian, historian and scholar, was born in Balia district of Uttar Pradesh. He was awarded with Padma Bhushan and Sahitya Akademi Award for his book Alok Parv, which comprises of author's collection of essays. In 1918, on this day, Shankar Dayal Sharma, the 9th President of India, was born in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. He served his term from 25th July 1992 to 25th July 1997. The Vato earthquake, which killed 2,394 people and left 1,489 people injured, occurred on this day in 1966 in Vato town of eastern Turkey. In 2003, on this day, a massive bomb wrecked the United Nations headquarters in Baghdad, killing at least 17 people. Among the dead was also UN's chief envoy to Iraq.
And a look now at the important events for today.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu is scheduled to meet the Prime Minister of Lithuania. Later, both the leaders will address India-Lithuania Business Forum meeting. The Vice President will lay wreath at the memorial dedicated to those who died in the struggle for Lithuanian independence. The Vice President will also meet the Speaker of Lithuanian Parliament. The Central Board of Direct Taxes Task Force on Direct Tax Code likely to submit its report. The new Direct Tax Code is set to replace the existing Income Tax Act of 1961. The aim is to reform the complex income tax laws into simpler tax codes and reduced rates, fewer exemptions and tax slabs. It is the last day for withdrawal of candidature for the two by-elections to the Council of States, Rajya Sabha from Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. The two seats fell vacant following the death of Rajasthan's Madan Lal Saini on June 24th and resignation of UP's Neeraj Shekhar on July 15th. The Supreme Court is scheduled to resume hearing in Unnao rape case.
And let's now move on to our health story of the day. And today we are focusing on fatty liver. Well, our correspondent Kiran Bhardwaj spoke with Dr. Shiv Kumar Sareen, the director of the ILBS, on the reasons of the fatty liver and how to prevent it.
Fatty liver is a condition that affects almost 25% of our population. What are the complications it can lead to and how to prevent this condition? Let's understand from Dr. Shiv Kumar Sareen. Dr. Sareen, welcome. Dr. Sareen, what is the condition of fatty liver and how serious problem is it?
Liver is 1500 grams in every normal person, and if it is more than 5% fat is there, it is bad. In fact, most people have 10 to 30% and even 60% extra fat in the liver. So that is harmful. When there is fat in the liver, the body's immune system is not used to it. They think it is foreign. They try and kill the liver cells which have fat, and slowly liver cells die, and then liver gets dried up, liver can have cirrhosis and what they early call non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, NASH. Like whether you drink alcohol and get fat or whether you have fatty liver, both can be similarly equally bad. And sometimes these people develop liver cancers, need liver transplants also.
Who are the people having high risk of getting fatty liver?
If you are born in a family where there are metabolic syndrome genes, for example diabetes, blood pressure or heart disease, kidney disease, stroke or gallbladder stones or polycystic ovary disease, all these are genes related to fat in the liver, and liver is the main cause for all these diseases. So those who have this in their family are very high risk. Of course, if you yourself have diabetes or blood pressure and you are above 45, then it is a major risk. So remember that such people and their children and their siblings, brother and sister, must get checkup done for fatty liver disease. And of course, if you are overweight, you must remember that fat is because of weight, and the simple formula is height minus 100. So if your height is 170 centimeters, subtract from that 100, so your weight should be 70 kg as the upper limit. But if you have familial problems, then reduce 10% from that, and if you are a lady, decrease 10%. Therefore, maintain your weight, and if you are maintaining weight and still have fatty liver, then there is definitely need for specialists, and there are newer drugs coming for this.
What precautions should we follow to prevent fatty liver?
Maintain your weight and do daily exercises, build up your muscles, and the fat distribution in the body should be neutralized. In diet, remember that minimum food, don't try to stuff yourself and have more of proteins than of carbohydrates, which are a major source of conversion into storage and fats, and of course excess of fats. Also remember that there are certain foods which are high caloric, high glycemic, chocolates, high sweetened sugars, they all should be avoided. And exercise means sweating for 30 minutes, that is necessary.
Thank you, Dr. Sareen, for talking to us. Lead an active life and take healthy diet to keep away the problem of fatty liver and be healthy during the lifetime. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
And time now for our good news India story. Well, with the rains in abundance these days, let's not forget that this is the time to harvest rainwater for the dry seasons. At the Prime Minister's urging, rainwater harvesting is becoming more widespread across the country. Here's more.
A recent report counts India among 17 of the world's most water-stressed countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has urged people to make water conservation a movement. People in every part of the country have taken this message of the Prime Minister very seriously, spreading the message of conservation far and wide.
अभी हाल में जब प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने बताया था कि हमें जल संरक्षण करना है, अपनी धरती को पानी वापस देना है, तो हमारे मेरठ चैप्टर के जितने भी मित्र हैं तो उन सब ने एक मीटिंग बुलाई कि हमको भी एक समाज सेवा के हिसाब से कुछ काम करना चाहिए। आज स्थिति है कि ये पानी अब धीरे धीरे रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग सिस्टम जो हमने लगाया है उसमें जा रहा है। हमने इसको काफ़ी ज़्यादा कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव बनाया है और अब आगे भी हम इसको आमजन तक पहुंचाने के लिए कोशिश ये रहेगी कि जहां भी ये पानी का जल भराव हो हम उसको ऐसे ही रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग सिस्टम बनाएं और आगे निकल जाएं।
Members of the Meerut chapter of Art of Living are now harvesting rainwater from the roofs of their houses and also collecting the rainwater that flows down streets. This water helps to recharge the groundwater as well. Climate change is causing us to be at the receiving end of nature's fury. We suffer from both floods and drought. However, unless we store up water when it is available for times when it is not, we will continuously remain victims of water stress. Tumul Kakad's report from Meerut, DD News.
And weather updates across the country for today. And that's all we have for you in this edition of the Breakfast News, but we'll be back tomorrow same time, same place. And before we take your leave for today, we're taking you to Prague, where tightrope walkers dance over river launched the Prague Festival recently. Take a look at those visuals and we wish you a great day ahead. Thanks for being with us.